So just like during the Rugby Championship, the All Blacks, they are dealing with a few injuries at the moment, and another player added to that list is now Clarke. He is ruled out of the test match up against the English due to a concussion. Now Jordie Barrett, he's already gone back to New Zealand due to a leg injury in the match up against the Irish, and the captain Scott Barrett, he is a little bit 50-50 about whether or not he'll be playing up against England as well. But in this video, we're going to be looking specifically at that left wing position because there are a massive amount of options for that left wing side, but it's just more so who will Scott Robertson select to fill in that jersey. But jumping straight into it, like I mentioned, Clarke, he is out due to a concussion and he is unavailable for the match at Twickenham Stadium. It does come at a rough time for the Kiwis, seeing as they've already had those couple injuries, but now there is a big opportunity for someone else to take the starting jersey, an option. Fainga'anuku. He did start in the number 13 jersey up against the Scottish. Did work all right with Quintupai. It did seem like as the match progressed, that is when Fainga'anuku started to find his feet that little bit more, but it was in the match up against Australia in the Rugby Championship that he made his All Blacks return out on. That left wing side, another option that the All Blacks have got, Rieko Ioane. He is still in the squad. He was also playing 13 up until this year before he decided to make that switch back to being a winger. He did start the year out on that left wing side. Scott Robertson giving him a few games to see whether or not he could find his rhythm, and you'd have to argue he didn't really start to find his full stride, but now that there is that injury to Clarke, which is actually becoming quite a common sentence for this year, it means that there's now that opportunity to perhaps go Ioane back on the left wing side. Another option, someone else who has had a little bit of a rough road in terms of amount of minutes that he has had as of late, that is Sevu Reece. Did play in the All Blacks 15 match just recently up against England A. He was one of two All Blacks who got the opportunity to run around out there on the park alongside Luke Jacobson, who did make his way from the bench. But Sevu Reece, he did start off the Rugby Championship with a bang, 2 tries in the first match up against Los Pumas. Now that was out on the right wing, but he can play the left wing. We saw it last year, so he is option number 3 to be able to replace Clarke. Like I said, there are plenty of those guys who could possibly go into that jersey. It's just that question mark of who will Scott Robertson want to go with in this case. And then you've got the curveball option. Someone who's been doing very well for the All Blacks 15. And I don't know whether or not they would look at this option purely because with Clarke only being out for the 2 weeks, I don't know whether or not they'd be willing to do this and bring in an outsider, but Caleb Tangi-Tau, he is another guy that could potentially fill in that number 11 jersey very well. He has had some great form, suffered a pretty bad injury throughout Super Rugby Pacific, which is why he wasn't considered initially for the All Blacks squad. Great form for the Highlanders, also coming from that sevens background, so really does have a great gas tank to go alongside the amount of pure ability that the youngster has. Similar to Leroy Carter in some regards of being a young, hungry player, willing to put in the hard yards to try and get that opportunity for the All Blacks. But I would say at the moment, those are the leading 4 options out on that left wing side. There are, of course, a couple other little switches that we could see. I honestly think there is a chance that Leroy Carter could find himself back out on the left wing. Maybe they put either Will Jordan, Sevu Reece, or someone like that on the right wing. And then is this the opportunity to see Ruben Love take on that 15 jersey? He has been getting very little game time under Scott Robertson, so with this little bit of a reshuffle, that could be something that we could actually see give Ruben Love a bit of a chance. But nonetheless, that was a long-winded way of me pretty much just ranting about the 11 jersey in terms of what options we could see. There are so many choices. It's actually the same as that number 13 jersey if we did see Fainga'anuku go out onto the left wing side, but certainly getting out of this game up against the English, the All Blacks will want very minimal injuries as they still have one more big match up against the Welsh. Now, you could argue the game up against the Wales should be won comfortably, but that might be the game we finally see Razor start to make a little bit of rotation. I know that he talked about it for this match up against the English, that perhaps now there's starting to be a few tired bodies in this All Black squad and they may have to make a couple changes accordingly. But this is definitely that big game for the All Blacks, the one that a lot of people feel could be 50-50. So they will want to get those selection choices right for this matchup as well. But do let me know who you think should be the number 11 and also who you think Scott Robertson will be going with in this contest. If you did enjoy, Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We will, of course, be having our lineup prediction as well as who I would like to see take on the English a little bit later on in the week. But I will see you all for the next one.